Hello, everyone. I'm Dominique Johnson-Lindsay, and I want to welcome you to the Active Listener podcast by Lightspeed. As a lifelong learner and the daughter of a Navy veteran who became an elementary school teacher, education and service are in my DNA. This foundation, paired with my love of technology, led me to these conversations with remarkable minds shaping the K-12 landscape. Join us as we amplify these vital voices and explore how active listening remains foundational to educational excellence. Whether you're an educator, administrator, or someone passionate about the future of education, there's something here for you to learn.
So thank you everyone for joining us again for another episode of the Active Listener podcast. Today I have a very special guest. So I have Amber Reynolds. She is a physical education teacher at Summit View Elementary. I want to dive into all the great things she is doing in Douglas County in Colorado. But before we get started, Amber, I'd love for you to just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background.
Hi, yes. So Amber Reynolds. I am a PE teacher and I've been teaching for 20 years. I taught in the classroom for 8 years and then PE for 12. It is a dream job for sure. I'm married to my amazing husband, Brian, and I have one awesome daughter who's 13 named Harper.
Okay, perfect. So first of all, let's talk about this transition of going from being a teacher in the classroom to being a PE teacher. How did that happen? And specifically, what drew you to want to do it?
So I always knew I wanted to be a teacher, like play teacher growing up. But when I was in college doing my student teaching, I actually did it in New Zealand through my school. And half of the group that was there for my school was going to be a PE teacher. And I was like, what? That is so cool. I never even thought of doing that. So I was like, well, whatever. I think I lost my opportunities. So I ended up becoming a teacher, loved it. I taught 3rd and 4th grade, but I became really good friends with the PE teacher at my school. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to try this. So they kind of helped me of what I needed to study to take the test, and took the test and passed. And I've been teaching PE ever since.
Oh, perfect. So we all know PE as that, fun time. I think that's where the kids most look for. It's so funny when people don't like school, they kind of always say they still like PE.
Yeah.
So with the 12-year, career over in the PE side as well as the 8 years prior, what kind of changes have you seen as far as kids in PE, specifically because we know today's kids do a lot of digital activities. They like to be. So talk to me about what kids are like when they come to the gym.
Yes. I mean, I will say, I do think the kids love PE. It's a wonderful way for them to be active, have fun, play games, there's music playing. So it's just different. When they're in the classroom, it's quiet, they're learning, they're reading math. And, some kiddos aren't great at academics, and sometimes sports is where they can shine. So it has been wonderful to see. I love that I get to see every kid in the whole entire school, and I get to make an impact on every student. But I will say, because when they're at school and because they only get so much PE, they are full in. They love it. They are from start to finish. Once they walk in that door till they walk out, they all leave sweating, red faces, because they are moving, which is wonderful.
Okay, so tell me what you think is the top maybe 1 to 2 activities that literally every kid pretty much, even the kid that's just
Oh my gosh. Well, if I was to say, pick a game of your choice, they would all say, could you guess what they would say?
No. I'm I don't know. When I was in school, it was definitely the little parachute thing. And I feel
but they all love dodgeball. Dodgeball is a favorite, and it's just because we play with the foam balls. We play waist and below, so it's not where it hurts any of the kids. It's for fun, and I play with them, and I think they love where they get to throw balls at their teacher. They think that's fun, so that's their favorite for sure.
Gotcha. That's perfect, and it's so funny that you say that because I think that's probably in the top 2 though. Dodgeball is pretty low live for people. So
yeah.
So talking about that though, that makes me just think across the board, most of the time there's an element of competitiveness that comes with, participating in physical education activities. So how do you balance that with kind of the confidence that kids need to just want to play when they may struggle with having those like skills, those almost like motor skills to be successful in games like that.
Yeah, that is definitely one of the biggest things that I see because I have a lot of wonderful athletes that I teach. Like they are very athletic, and then I have those and that aren't, and they don't play outside sports, and that's okay. And so, something that I teach right away when they come into my gym is like, we're all going to be a winner and we're all going to be a loser, and that's okay if we lose a game. That's part of life, that you lose, and losing with grace and winning with grace. And I really encourage positive sportsmanship. I mean, just today, I was teaching and there was a final two, and when the boy won, he went right away and he high-fived the girl and he said, great game. And I really try to encourage that. And I tell them, when you walk out of my gym, you don't get a ribbon, you don't get a medal, you don't get a trophy. It's just like, hey, you felt good, you won, and that's it. And so it's okay if you lose too.
Gotcha. I think that's so important, and it kind of brings up a topic that I know is really big right now in education, and that's social emotional learning, because I feel like across the board, um, more districts are trying to tap into make sure that kids have that good well-being mentally as well as the academic side. So can you talk to me a little bit about what other kind of SEL strategies you kind of implement in your gym?
Yes, I always try to meet the kids like where they're at. And I always say like challenge by choice. So if today we were playing a game and if you get tagged, I say go out and do 5 push-ups. If push-ups are hard, I give them options. You can do regular push-ups, you could do knee push-ups, you could do wall push-ups, just so they all feel confident and it's not something that they can't do. The kids are really comfortable talking to me. If there's a game or a teammate or someone they're not comfortable playing with, they come and talk to me and we try to like brainstorm a solution that would be, that would still meet their needs, but they're still being active and playing.
Gotcha. So based on your experience and just thinking through all of the different changes that you may have seen in your career, if you could go back and kind of redesign what they teach to prepare PE teachers to come into, the gym, what would you kind of change or add based on your experience?
So, whenever I was taking the test to become a PE teacher, a lot of it was like kinesthetics, like what muscle is this? And if you are turning your arm and what muscle are you using? And yes, it's important to know, but I feel like the biggest two things that help be a successful PE teacher are one, like building relationships with the kids and teaching the teachers. Like that is like, if you have a bond and a relationship with those students, they'll listen to everything and they'll respect you and they'll want to do what you're doing. And then the other one is classroom management. And I think too, building relationships helps with your classroom management, but having classroom management really will help have a successful, learning academic time as well.
Gotcha. So, of course, I know you do amazing things every day in your gym and classroom, but I know you do something so great outside of work, which is kind of how I found you. You know, I'll just give the listeners a gist of it before I let you tell your own story. And that was, we are always thinking through all these different themes that are happening in K-12. And so something that kept coming up is definitely like inclusion and equity. Inclusion and equity is something we strive to put a bow around as far as like audio in the classroom and understanding what that means. They're like, oh, it's a great PE teacher that's doing her own thing with a nonprofit. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's a teacher and she has this amazing nonprofit. I have to talk to her about it. So to get it started, kind of explain to our listeners what the nonprofit is and then explain why you even started it.
Yes. So I have a daughter with special needs. She's 13. She has a rare syndrome, Okur-Chung neurodevelopmental syndrome, and autism. So she's one of 180 in the world with this rare syndrome. And she's nonverbal, developmentally delayed. So my passion is children with special needs. And that's why I'm very passionate about inclusion in my gym, but also outside of my gym. I co-founded a nonprofit called Colorado Mama Tribe. We have 400 members in our group around Colorado of moms with children with special needs. And we do several things for the moms. We do once a month respite get-togethers. We do park play dates once a month. We have therapy that we offer to our moms. We have dad groups, and inside of our group, the dads get together too for dad events, and really just try to help those moms who are feeling like lonely, alone, have questions in any way that we can.
Gotcha. So in this group, I'm sure you see a lot. What's kind of the number one piece of feedback that you've received from people that have experienced the group as far as their takeaway from it?
Finding community. When you have a child with special needs, it's like you feel alone, you feel lonely. And especially like my daughter, she's my only child. So a lot of a lot of parents have children with also that are like neurotypical. But feeling like a community of like other moms who just get it, that you're not alone, other people who you can talk to about doctors or your child if they're not doing something or they are doing something. And it just, yeah, it's been tremendous. I mean, for myself included, like it has brought me so much joy whenever I felt so alone and isolated to know that there have 400 women in the same shoes as me.
Gotcha. So another thing that comes up is a lot of times when you have these shared experiences with other people, you learn you kind of learn from them like these tips and tricks. And I would think one thing that comes to mind, especially with you working in the K-12 space, is advocacy in the schools. I know for a lot of people, I've had my own personal experiences through, family members and stuff, that they have to do a lot of advocacy in the school. So how do you kind of, I guess the question is almost like, how do you help parents navigate that inside of your group? As well as what kind of things do you see that people may come to you to advocate for, and you kind of say like, oh, I understand, I get it.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, public school system is hard. I'm a public school teacher and it's hard, to give all the services we possibly can to the kiddos. And so I have had, a lot of parents who are frustrated or feeling a certain way. And so I try to encourage them of talking to their teachers or their principal, really talking about inclusion and making sure their child is included throughout the school. I've started best buddies at my school. And so we have like one-to-one friendships where kids are paired with our special needs kiddos to build those natural friendships. And I've helped moms too of like with best buddies of how to get that going at other schools and yeah, advocacy. And, I'm really, my biggest thing here as a teacher is making sure that if I have a special needs kiddo come in, they're not just sitting in a corner. Like they are included. They're like everybody else. They're going to play the game like everybody else. And the kids, because this has been the way the school has taught the kids to be, it's just natural. Like I don't even have to say anything. They know to include the kids at all times. And it's just absolutely amazing.
Good, good. That's so good. I'm glad, to see how we move more towards this. It definitely wasn't always like that. And
No.
I think the K-12 side of things, we've just awakened to like they can participate, and it's a great experience for them as well as the other kids. There's so much that comes out of them just being in this, regular environment that is good for everybody. So
Absolutely. It's made a huge impact on other kids and teachers as well.
So, in thinking through, I know you talked about like, we have them join in. Are there any specific things that you do to kind of promote the inclusiveness, whether it's the way that you prepare the other kids or just things that you say, or tools that you even use, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, luckily the kids are pretty great at it at this point, but I just always try to make a point to say like make sure, when we're playing tag that we tag our friends and let them tag you or, like today we were playing soccer and I said make sure to give the student the ball and let them kick it to you. And even though it was a time game, like I would pause the clock so like they would have time to play where the other kids weren't like, oh my gosh, well that's not fair. Our time is, running off the clock. So just really encouraging it. And it's become kind of natural. I kind of don't have to do as much now.
Perfect, perfect. So, last question is just related to looking ahead. I think there's so many great things going on right now, and one of the things I always love to ask anybody that comes on the podcast is, what do you think the vision for the future in your gym as well as just K-12 as a whole, what do you think it looks like? So what kind of initiatives do you see on the forefront? What kind of things are you excited to see? What kind of things do you even have concerns about?
Yeah. I think as, like you said, like teaching has changed so much over the years and evolved. And I really think that SEL has been huge. And I think that as teachers continue to build those relationships with kids and have those relationships with the parents as well, will really help the behaviors because, times change and, there are different behavior problems as well. But I think just building those relationships is number one. Um, Challenges. I mean, I think for me, something that I am passionate too is that the kids get that movement time and get PE time. And I always hope that PE will always be like a necessity and a priority in all schools and where they get that time of movement and playtime.
Gotcha. Yes, I'm hoping so too. As we've kind of realized the impact of being sedentary, I'm like, everybody needs to be up and moving. We need to make it a habit. I literally have to make myself do it. I have a 2-year-old. I'm making her do it. It's so easy for us to like plop down and watch TV, even when we're playing board games. And sometimes it's like, we need to go out and get a little fresh air. So
yes, for sure.
So before we end, I ask every guest 2 questions, just because I love these 2 questions. I think they really kind of just show what you're thinking and how unique you are. So with that, the first question is, if you could remove one barrier for children at school, what would it be?
Like because of teaching the gym and we talked about like positive sportsmanship, I think one barrier would be like kindness to all. I know that sometimes people can like be mean to one another, harsh on someone, making even just a small comment can really hurt someone. So just always being kind and like teaching kindness.
I love it. I love it. And look, unique. Every episode is a different one. So I'm always curious to hear. You guys see the kids every day. So I'm like, what do you think?
Yeah.
The last question is, what is your favorite sound in the world?
Oh my gosh. Look at you with these questions. Okay. This is probably also a weird one, but I actually like love it. I love like closing my eyes. And so I live in Colorado. And the aspen trees, when the little leaves like flutter, because they're just like these little leaves, and when the wind blows and they flutter, it's just so relaxing and so soothing.
I love it. I love it. And again, a different answer. I love it. I have not had a chance to venture out in Colorado. I've been before, but it's so funny because you say that, because I think it is one of the prettiest places that I've been. I'm always there for something very specific, so I'm not like out.
Yeah, it's a great, well, you could probably even Google the sound. It's very relaxing.
So with that, I want to say thank you so much for joining us today. I really enjoyed this, and I'm so excited for the future of PE, because who does not love PE, right?
Right. Thank you. Thank you for chatting with me and hearing all the things and for letting me share my passions.
Yeah, for sure. And come back anytime.
Oh, thank you.
That's all for today's Active Listener. Thanks for tuning in. Share your comments on this episode on our Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn social media pages. You can visit our website at lightspeed-tech.com to learn more about our mission to ensure every student hears every word. And subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Until next time, let your listening be as active as your learning.